Prince Harry's words landed with unusual force this week, not because they were loud, dramatic, or designed to provoke headlines, but because of who said them, when he said them, and what they quietly accomplished for Britain and the Crown. At the very moment he had returned to the United Kingdom to fight his long-running phone hacking case against the tabloids, the Duke of Sussex reached back into an entirely different chapter of his life, his years as a soldier, and spoke with a clarity that the rest of the royal family simply cannot afford to use. This was not a casual comment or an off-the-cuff reaction. It was measured, restrained, and devastatingly precise. Harry was responding to remarks made by Donald Trump during a Fox News appearance, where the former US president questioned whether America had ever truly needed its NATO allies. In doing so, Trump downplayed the role of countries like the United Kingdom in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, suggesting that allies sent troops but kept them a little back and away from the front lines. For many families in Britain, that statement was not just historically inaccurate, it was deeply offensive. And that is where Prince Harry stepped in. What makes this moment so striking is the constitutional reality behind it. By long-standing convention, working members of the royal family cannot engage in overt political debate. They do not rebut foreign leaders. They do not publicly correct allies. They do not challenge sitting presidents or presidential candidates, even when those comments cut painfully close to home. King Charles, as head of state, was never going to issue a statement correcting Donald Trump's remarks. Neither would the Prince of Wales. Silence, however uncomfortable, is often the price of the crown. But Prince Harry is no longer a working royal, and that difference mattered. In a carefully worded statement, Harry did what his father constitutionally could not do openly. He defended the honour of British service personnel, he defended the historical record, and crucially, he defended the shared sacrifice that underpinned NATO's first and only invocation of Article 5. In 2001, NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time in its history. Harry reminded the world what that meant. Every allied nation was obliged to stand with the United States in Afghanistan in pursuit of shared security, and allies answered that call. This was not opinion, it was fact. Article 5 is the cornerstone of NATO. An attack on one is considered an attack on all. After the 9/11 attacks, it was invoked in solidarity with the United States. That decision sent British, Canadian, German, French, Dutch and other Allied troops into a conflict zone thousands of miles from home, not out of obligation alone, but out of shared commitment. Harry then shifted the focus away from geopolitics and onto lived experience. "I served there," he said. "I made lifelong friends there, and I lost friends there." Those words carry weight, because Harry is not speaking theoretically. He completed 2 tours of Afghanistan, first as a forward air controller and later as an Apache helicopter pilot. He trained, deployed and lived alongside ordinary soldiers. He did not observe the war from a briefing room. And then came the statistic that cut through the noise. The United Kingdom alone lost 457 service personnel. Not symbolic, not abstract, 457 individual lives, each one a family, each one a story that did not end the way it should have. Harry did not sensationalize that number. He let it stand on its own. Then he acknowledged the human cost thousands of lives changed forever. Parents who buried sons and daughters, children who grew up without a parent, families still carrying the weight of that loss. This is where the statement did something quietly powerful. It reframed the conversation away from political bravado and back to moral responsibility. It reminded audiences on both sides of the Atlantic that alliances are not theoretical constructs. They are lived realities, paid for by ordinary people. Harry concluded with a line that revealed both discipline and intent. He said that those sacrifices deserved to be spoken about truthfully and with respect, as allies remain united and loyal to the defence of diplomacy and peace. That final sentence matters. Harry was not calling for escalation. He was not attacking the United States. He was not undermining NATO. He was reaffirming its purpose: defence, diplomacy and peace. In doing so, he aligned himself squarely with values that King Charles has long championed, even if the king himself could not speak in that moment. This is why the timing of Harry's statement is so significant. Just last year, the royal family formally hosted Donald Trump for a second state visit to the UK. The visit was not without controversy. There were concerns about Trump's rhetoric on NATO, his comments about Canada, and his broader approach to international alliances. Yet the monarchy did what it has always done. It set aside personal views and focused on diplomacy. State banquets were held, smiles were maintained. The relationship between nations was prioritized over personal disagreement. That is the role of the crown. But when Trump later questioned whether America had ever truly needed its allies, particularly in Afghanistan, that silence began to feel heavier. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer did respond, calling the remarks insulting and appalling, especially to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured. His response reflected genuine anger within political and military circles. From Buckingham Palace, however, there was no statement, no correction, no rebuttal. Constitutionally, there could not be. Prince Harry's intervention filled that vacuum. This is one of the great paradoxes of Harry's current position. By stepping back from royal duties, he lost titles, security arrangements, and institutional backing. But he also gained freedom to speak where others must remain silent, and freedom to tell uncomfortable truths without dragging the monarchy into partisan conflict. In this case, that freedom worked in the king's favour. Harry defended Britain's honour without forcing his father into a diplomatic incident. He corrected the historical record without embarrassing the crown. He voiced what many veterans and families were feeling while keeping his language respectful and measured. For all the accusations that Harry has turned his back on Britain, moments like this complicate that narrative. This was not a man attacking his country. This was not a man undermining the monarchy. This was not a man chasing headlines. This was a former soldier speaking on behalf of the dead. It is also important to note what Harry did not say. He did not personally attack Donald Trump. He did not dismiss American sacrifice. He did not rank suffering. Instead, he focused on shared responsibility and shared loss, which is why his words resonated so deeply with veterans groups and military families. Contrast that with the suggestion that allies stayed a little back from the front lines. For British troops who patrolled Helmand Province, faced daily danger and lost friends in combat, those words felt dismissive at best and insulting at worst. The UK's 457 fatalities did not happen in the rear. They happened on patrol. They happened in combat. They happened alongside American forces. Harry knows that because he was there. This moment also highlights a broader truth about Prince Harry's role in public life today. He occupies a space no one else does. He understands military service from the inside. He understands royal constraint from the inside. And he understands media distortion from the inside. That combination gives him unique authority when he chooses to speak, and he does not speak often. That restraint gives weight to moments like this. For King Charles, this episode may quietly underscore the value of having a son who is no longer bound by palace protocol, yet remains deeply aligned with British values. Harry's words arguably achieved what any palace statement would have aimed to do without breaching constitutional boundaries. For the wider public, it raises an uncomfortable question. Why is the one royal who can speak most freely about sacrifice also the one most frequently criticised by the press? For the families of the fallen, however, the answer may be simpler. Someone remembered. Someone spoke. Someone refused to let history be rewritten for the sake of political bravado. And for NATO allies watching this unfold, Harry's statement served as a reminder that alliances are not transactional. They are built on trust, memory, and shared loss. Article 5 was not invoked lightly in 2001. It was invoked because the world changed and thousands of people paid the price. Prince Harry did not reopen old wounds, he acknowledged them. In a week dominated by courtrooms, legal arguments and tabloid scrutiny, Harry briefly returned to a different battlefield, not to relive it, but to defend those who never came home. And in that moment, whether critics like it or not, he stood firmly in defence of Britain, of his father's position, and of a truth that deserved to be spoken out loud.